Okay.
I think that most of my young life I was trying to be a good boy and waiting for and hoping for a better life. It was 1910 when I got to America. I was still 18. My coming to Zion is a simple story, but there are a few things that make me wonder how I ever made it.
As I prepared to leave for America, I went before a Turkish official to get my passport. At the time, all Armenian young men, 18 and older, were being put into the Turkish army. And if the Turkish officials knew I was actually 18, they would have never given me a passport and I'd have been put in the army. As I stood before the official, someone said, "He's 18. Now, my cousins were all larger by that age, but I was still growing and not even shaving.
Hence the picture of the straight edge.
The official looked in a book of Turkish government records and looked at me and said, "He's not 18. They gave me the passport to leave for Turkey. A while later, I found out that my mother had waited 3 years before she recorded my birth with the Turkish government as 1895 and not the actual year of 1892. That saved my life.
Now, at this point of the story, I want to emphasize the miracle that this was. Whether Grandpa's mother actually knew what she was doing or whether she was inspired and consciously was aware, we will never know that. But this is a juncture in his life that clearly resulted in all of us who descended from him. Because had he been put in the army, it's pretty sure he would have been killed, knowing all the history of how that went. So I read that and I'm just in awe, knowing that greater powers are in charge of our lives, and we need to remember that. It's not just about us, there's a greater will in it. And look what's come from Grandpa because of this one fact. It's amazing. Okay, who's next? Okay.
I came in the fourth and last group to leave Zara, Armenia. Those who wanted to come to Zion were given help to do so. Elder Hagapti Gogosian was in charge of the Zara Saints after Nishan K. Shiranian left. When I found out that I would be coming to America, I was so anxious to go, and I was so happy.
Okay, Mike, we're back up to you.
Yeah. My father's given name was Kachik, meaning...
I'll stop you right there.
Oh, okay.
This is not actually his father. Based on how you'll describe it, Reed, I just said, okay, this will work. I'll put this up there.
It looks like your dad in a way, but...
Your dad.
Meaning the cross of Christ. I was just an infant when he died, and I don't remember him, but I was told that he was tall, had a very light complexion with brown eyes and hair, was large in the shoulders and chest, and his arms and legs were very strong. He was handsome and well liked by everybody. He could build almost anything with his hand, or his hands. My father got to be known near and far as a champion wrestler, but he never wrestled for money. And you know something? He was never beaten. To provide for my mother and me, my father went away to work in a distant place and was not in Zara when my mother was converted to the gospel and joined the church in 1895. He never had a chance to accept the gospel in this life and later died of pneumonia in another country. We never knew where he is buried.
Now, if you sat with Grandpa very long, you got a very clear sense that he had a deep love for his father, even though he didn't know him. They never really met him in a sense. And as I have studied Grandpa's history, I've gotten the feeling that he knows all about the gospel, and he has accepted it. And I think that's a pretty neat part of the story as well.
After my father's death, my mother, Miriam, who remarried, life for her and for me was very different with her new husband. She could not come with me, but she wanted me to gather with the saints in America. It was a sad time for her and for me, but I'm glad I was able to visit with her and say goodbye. I'll always remember the night before I left and how she cried as we said goodbye.
Now, Grandpa had gone to live with the Kezerians at large, meaning his father's brothers and others just took him in. But when the time came for him to come to America, as you read the details of the story, you see very clearly that all of that family was in the cahoots to get Armenag to America. Now, whether they knew what they were doing or not, they just had a very strong feeling that Armenag needed to get to America. Isn't that something? And it's very clear as you read the narrative of his history. Steve?
Leaving my beautiful Armenia didn't happen in a minute. While I herded sheep in the countryside of Zara, I felt a great desire to come to America. I felt the spirit about it from the time that I was baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It wasn't just the land of America that I was at. I love my homeland and my family, and I was even afraid to leave them. But it was something else that I felt inside me. Later on, as I became more familiar with the scriptures, I understood that it was the spirit of gathering. From all over the world, the Lord was calling his sheep to gather into one flock, and I just could not be happy with any other choice.
Thank you. So this is again just an idea. Here he is, sitting, looking at his flock, and he's having these feelings. I need to get to America. And as he said, he was not happy with any other choice, even though he loved his own. And if you sat with him very long, he would tell you story after story about his love for Armenia. But then he'd end up with saying, but I'm an American now. And he made it clear that it was important. We read this earlier. There's Isaiah. He's writing this prophecy that the Lord would speak to the heart. Well, here we have an ancestor. Here we have our grandpa who testifies of this very thing and what he felt. It's very powerful. And I appreciate still the way you read it. Okay, Brett, can you take that?
On September 3rd, 1910, I left for America in a covered wagon driven by my mother's brother, Kirkor Avigijin.
Pretty good.
The 5 people in this group were my cousin Arick, Kezerian, and his wife Lusig, and his oldest sister Hosanna, Armenag, Kezerian's wife Haram, and me. It was morning, and we were on our way out of Zara to Samson on the coast of the Black Sea, about 100 miles or so northwest of Zara. At Samson, we boarded a small ship. Our first stop was Constantinople, where we briefly docked right in front of the Sultan's large mosque with its shining minarets. It was such a beautiful city. Before we departed, we bought things we needed from the people on the dock and pulled them up by basket to the deck of the ship.
Thank you. Now, this is an image of Zara that I believe that Nephi took a picture of this. And as you can see, a lot of adobe. The color's kind of washed out. I don't think it would have been that great in actuality, but it was amazing when he saw Constantinople. It would have been just like an Egyptian palace to him, and he knew it was a different sight. Okay, yeah.
We continued to Marseille, France, and was there for 2 weeks waiting for our next ship. We stayed at an American hotel.
Armenia.
Oh, excuse me, thank you. It was a happy time for me. I always remembered Marseille. We then boarded the SS Chicago on August 20th, 1910 for our voyage across the Atlantic Ocean to
Stop there for a
America.
minute. So when did Grandma come across, and how many years later is Grandpa going?
8.
8 years. Yeah. So there's a difference, and that becomes important in the next story we'll tell.
We were deep
Oh,
down.
sorry. I'm
oh.
sorry. There's no-
We were deep down in the ship in a very large space with many people in it. The conditions were terrible. Some people got very sick, but I never got sick one bit. I would go up on the front of the ship where the air was fresh. I watched the beautiful large porpoises jumping and swimming in front of the ship.
Can you kids imagine that? Seeing the fish racing with the boat? Rachel?
We sailed on the Atlantic Ocean for about 10 days, and on August 30th, 1910, I saw the beautiful Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. We passed it and landed close by, where we disembarked. After a day or two, we went through customs. An inspector asked all the others a lot of questions as they passed through, but he didn't ask me anything at all. Maybe he thought I was healthy and looked pretty good. He just smiled at me and said in Armenian, "God bless you."
From New York, we took a 5-day train journey to Utah. I can't remember much about the long train ride, but we got into Salt Lake City early in December 1910. In those days, Salt Lake City was already a fine town. It had wide dirt streets, wooden sidewalks. ZCMI was a large department store on the main street. And the Hotel Utah was under construction, previously the site of the tithing house. These large buildings were close to the beautiful Temple Square. State Street was a long dirt road running south like a straight arrow to the point of the mountain.
So, anybody here remembers ECMI?
Oh, yeah.
It really was a great store. It's Macy's occupies it now. And this is a picture of the old tithing house. You know, Hotel Utah's there right now. Okay.
Uncle Tatos,
Tatos.
and his family met us at the Union Pacific Station, and we went to his home in Murray that night. In the next couple of days, we saw the Sheranians and Tavoyans, who had also settled in Murray. I was so happy to be in Zion. The Lord had snatched me out of Armenia and put me down in this new land in the middle of a new flock, like a little lost sheep. I soon forgot lots of things of the past. I liked my new American home and its new ideas.
So, whose store is this right here? So in the time between Deshaun and brought his family here and Armenag arrived, Deshaun had already established the